We were just 4 months away from what was supposed to be the happiest day of our lives. Our wedding. Everything was already in motion. The venue was booked, invitations sent out weeks ago, and the caterer had recently hiked their prices, knowing we were too deep in to back out. Still, I was riding high on optimism. That morning, I'd sealed a major deal at work, one that earned me a hefty bonus, enough to pay for our honeymoon twice over. I couldn't wait to tell my fiancée, Anna. My plan was simple. Get home early, sweep her off her feet with the news, and surprise her with a weekend getaway. She had been under a lot of stress lately, and I thought it would be a perfect chance for us to reconnect. Around 3 p.m., I pulled into our driveway, beaming with excitement. But something immediately caught my eye. Ethan's car parked a few houses down. Ethan had been one of my closest friends since high school. He was even the one who gave a heartfelt speech during our engagement dinner. So, at first I didn't think much of it. The house was unusually quiet when I walked in. I set my keys on the counter and called out, "Anna." No answer. I wandered through the house, eventually heading toward the back patio. That's when I saw them. They weren't physically touching, but their closeness was undeniable. Anna's face was glowing, her smile carefree in a way I hadn't seen in weeks. Ethan leaned in, his knee lightly grazing hers, their bodies tilted toward each other with an intimacy you couldn't miss. I didn't say a word. Instead, I stepped back inside, shutting the patio door softly behind me, and sat down at the kitchen counter to wait. Roughly 10 minutes later, they walked in together. The moment Ethan saw me, he froze, his face draining of color. Anna's eyes flicked toward me, her expression shifting as she tried to figure out whether I'd just arrived or witnessed their little scene. "Hey," she said, her voice tight, guarded. "Didn't hear you come in." "Clearly," I replied, my tone sharp but steady. Ethan stammered, grabbed his keys and mumbled, "I was just heading out." Without another word, he bolted. I turned to Anna, my face expressionless. "Sit down." She hesitated but obeyed, perching nervously at the edge of the couch. She looked like she was either ready to cry or brace for a storm. "Explain," I said flatly. Her eyes darted toward the door, perhaps hoping Ethan would return to shield her. He wouldn't. He never had the spine for confrontation. "It's not what you think," she began, voice trembling. I stayed quiet, giving her no rope. It was a mistake," she finally confessed after a long pause. "How long?" I asked, though I already suspected she wasn't telling the full truth. "Just once," she insisted. 2 months ago." "Where?" My voice remained low and even. She hesitated again before mumbling, "Here. In the house." I nodded, keeping my face unreadable. "How long has it really been going on?" I asked again, watching her squirm. She broke down, tears falling fast as her hands twisted in her lap. "I swear it was just once," she pleaded. "It wasn't planned, we were drinking, talking, it just happened." I let her words hang in the air for a moment, then shook my head. "Nothing just happens, Anna. Doors don't open themselves. People don't fall into bed by accident. You made a choice." Her sobs grew louder. "I still love you," she cried. "We can fix this." I stood, staring at her with the calm of a man who'd already made up his mind. "Thank you for being honest," I said. She blinked, confused. "That's it." "No," I said coldly. "Now pack your things. You're done here." Her face contorted in shock. "You're kicking me out. We're engaged. You're throwing everything away over one mistake." "You already did," I replied, pointing toward the hallway. 10 minutes. Pack what you need for tonight. The rest I'll pack myself." She stood, defiant, folding her arms. "You don't get to talk to me like this." "I'm not talking," I said, stepping closer. "I'm done." Her voice cracked as she tried one last time. "You can't erase 5 years over this." I opened the front door wide. "You already erased them." She didn't move, but I wasn't about to argue. I calmly explained. "This house? My name's on every document. I paid every bill, every mortgage, every repair. You moved in, but you didn't build this life with me. You just enjoyed it. Her face twisted with bitterness. So what? You're some cold-hearted robot now. No, I said, my eyes narrowing. I'm just not the fool you took me for. Silence. I didn't follow her as she stormed off to pack. I simply stood by the open door, letting the cool air cleanse the room. Minutes later, she walked past me with a duffel bag slung over her shoulder. You'll regret this, she spat as she crossed the threshold. I locked eyes with her. No, Anna. You will. I shut the door behind her. That night I sat at the kitchen table, opened my laptop and pulled up the security footage. Months earlier, after a package theft, I'd installed cameras. One at the front door, one in the living room. It took only minutes to find what I needed. A time-stamped clip from 6 weeks prior showed Ethan sitting on my couch, Anna straddling his lap, their faces flushed, his lips on her neck. I took screenshots. Nothing explicit, but more than enough to prove everything. Then I created a group message titled Wedding Update, Urgent. I added her parents, my parents' mutual friends, and yes, Ethan's girlfriend, Danielle. I attached the screenshots and typed a single sentence. The wedding is cancelled. Anna has been cheating with Ethan in my home. Any questions, ask them. Done. I hit send. No dramatic speeches. No shouting. Just facts. Afterward, I blocked every number that needed blocking. Anna, Ethan, and some mutual friends already choosing sides. By the next morning, I'd hired a locksmith to change the locks. By evening, all of Anna's belongings, boxed up neatly, sat on the curb. She never came back for them. A few days later, her mother called my office, leaving a voicemail labeled urgent, begging for a conversation about the family crisis. I ignored it. That evening I checked my email. 3 messages awaited me. One from Anna, one from Ethan, and one from some random, concerned friend. Anna's message was a chaotic mess, flipping from apologizing to blaming me. I know I messed up, but this was private, she wrote. You humiliated me. My family won't even look at me. What you did is illegal. I'm talking to a lawyer. Ethan's email was just pathetic. Excuses, half-hearted apologies, and the usual cowardly groveling. Man, I didn't mean for this to happen. We were both going through stuff, it just happened. Please don't blow this up more than it needs to be. You're like a brother to me. I forwarded everything to my attorney, Rachel Sandon, a no-nonsense family lawyer recommended by a colleague. She didn't coddle me. She simply laid out a plan. Stay calm. Stay strategic. No emotion. Her prediction was accurate. Days later, a letter from Anna's lawyer arrived demanding half the value of my house, a portion of my work bonus, and damages for emotional distress from my group message. Rachel read it with an amused smirk. She drafted a reply that dismantled every demand with ruthless precision, citing property laws, legal precedents, and the mountain of evidence I'd collected. Her final line in the letter was devastating. If your client chooses to pursue this matter, all video, photographic, and written evidence will be submitted for public record. Silence followed, but not for long. A week later, Anna launched a GoFundMe campaign titled, Starting Over After Betrayal. In it, she painted herself as a victim, claiming I was emotionally abusive, that I'd ruined her life over one mistake, and left her homeless and penniless. She asked for $10,000 to cover legal fees, an apartment, and basic living needs. Within days, it had raised nearly $700. I recognized several names, people who had been at our engagement party. I didn't lash out. I followed Rachel's advice. Strategic, not emotional. I donated $5 and left a comment with a Dropbox link containing everything. Videos, screenshots, the lawyer letters, and a detailed timeline of events. My comment disappeared within an hour. So, I reached out to Danielle, Ethan's now ex-girlfriend, who had been quiet since the group message. She picked up after 2 rings. Luke, she said, her voice cautious. Tell me everything, she added after a pause. I did. I sent her the Dropbox link, and she didn't just listen, she acted. Danielle was methodical, sharp, and relentless. She spread the link everywhere: social media, group chats, even among Anna's old college friends. Within days, angry comments flooded Anna's fundraiser. People demanded refunds, and the Dropbox link spread like wildfire. By the third day, the fundraiser was deleted. The next morning, Rachel received a short email. Anna's lawyer had dropped her as a client. No explanation. Soon after, Ethan lost his job. Danielle had sent the Dropbox file to his employer, citing their strict ethics policy. He had no warning. Word spread that he'd moved in with his brother 2 towns over. Danielle, meanwhile, blocked him, changed her number, and disappeared from his life completely. I didn't have to lift another finger. The truth had already done all the work.